In case you missed it, the Justice League Task Force Batman from McFarlane Toys was my favorite action figure of 2024. But when I say action figure, that excludes Transformers and Hot Toys, because those are separate lists. But when it comes to like 6 to 7 inch scale action figures released in 2024, this was my favorite. Now, I am a pretty big McFarlane Batman fan. I love collecting Batman figures, so Batman's ever-prominent appearances in the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line gets no complaints from me. I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, that it's just the same character over and over and over, but I love collecting Batman. I feel like he is the most toyetic character ever produced, because he can be like any color you want him to be. You can throw stupid armor on him, you could give him different outfits, and it always works and always makes sense. No matter how ridiculous it is, it's at the very least always fun. And that's what I love about McFarlane Toys Batman figures. They're always fun. And this Justice League Task Force Batman is one that I had to talk about, because I grew up with a Sega Genesis. I didn't have Justice League Task Force, unfortunately. I feel like if I did, I would have loved the game. But because I grew up with that 16-bit era, I am quite the sucker for the 16-bit deco on this figure, and I feel like this metallic bendy wire cape really contributes to that. And I love this figure. I love it so much. And when I saw that there was a Platinum Chase version where he was in a red suit, I was like, oh my god, I need that so bad, and I never thought I would find it. I have it! I got the Platinum Chase one. I found it at a GameStop, and I was just going in there, you know, before I visited family. I'm like, oh, there's a GameStop right here. Let's see if they have anything. And they're loaded with DC Multiverse. And I saw that Justice League Task Force packaging. First one's Superman, whatever. And then I saw the red, and I flipped out. Yes, I have the red Platinum Chase. That's another thing I love with McFarlane DC Multiverse too. They do these variants. They do Chase variants. Like, they're the only company to do Chase variants nowadays. And I think they're a lot of fun. And one great thing about McFarlane Chase variants is that they're kind of easy to come by. It's not impossible to get them. They're out there. You have to hunt. You have to look. I have found several Platinum editions that I'm very happy to have added to my collection. And this one is probably one of the most exciting ones. Another thing I love about this McFarlane Platinum Batman as well is that it looks so much like how he looked in Nightfall. I've been reading through Nightfall. I love it. And when he's going up against Firefly, all the fire and everything reflects off of his suit, and he looks red like this. When I was reading Nightfall, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like the toy I have. And it's just so much fun. These figures are a lot of fun. So, of course, because it's McFarlane Toys, you get a pretty great value with these. You got Build-A-Figure pieces for Darkseid, which I've already ditched. I don't need those. But you also got trading cards, which are very nice. The trading cards are the same between them, but you get a nice little card, and I actually like collecting those cards. You get display bases, which I always appreciate with McFarlane figures. They can stand fine on their own, but a display base always makes it easier, and it just makes it more fun. And you got these, like, effect parts for, like, when they're punching and everything. Like, you know how these fighting games go. Like, if Batman's going to give you an uppercut, it has, like, this little effect piece, you know, flowing with the fist. And you can just stuff the fist in there. And, yeah, that looks really cool. I love how McFarlane gives these figures bendy wire capes, because it just makes them so expressive. And it just makes the action figure so much more fun. Because in my opinion, a bendy wire cape adds 1,000,000 points of articulation, because it's essentially limitless. I actually do like the material they use. Very nice and metallic. And one thing, especially with this Platinum one, I wish the normal one did this, but the Platinum one has 2 tones. It has a darker red on the inside and a brighter red on the outside. That is gorgeous. It just looks so, so great. And one thing I love about McFarlane, too, I know some people aren't the biggest fan of the exposed pins. Me, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of exposed pins, especially on Hasbro figures, because when the pins are exposed, the joint gets all wibbly-wobbly, and it's not really very solid. But McFarlane, all their joints are just solid. Like, they all have these little ratchets built in, and I've never really had a loose McFarlane joint. I've never had a McFarlane joint really break. I think at least my experience with McFarlane has been pretty top-notch. The value for money is impressive. $25 gets you a full figure, accessories, Build-A-Figure parts, trading card, display base, bendy wire cape. McFarlane just, they kill it, dude. I am such a fan. So ultimately, why did I want to make a video on this Justice League Task Force Batman? Well, it's pretty simple. I've gotten quite a bit of hate on my opinion on McFarlane Toys, and I just wanted to show you guys how much I love what they do. I do have to acknowledge they are not a perfect company. I'm not saying as a company they are the greatest ever. That Joker box set exists. They do some pretty lame stuff every once in a while. Some of their figures are just duds. They've got some pretty bad peg warmers. Like, McFarlane DC Multiverse is not a perfect toy line, but pretty much every figure that I've gotten feels like a better value for money than what Hasbro gives us for their 6-inch figures. I really enjoy the paint application, I enjoy the sculpt, I enjoy the articulation, the solidness. I even kind of prefer the scale. I don't know, I've loved the character selection, especially me being a big Batman fan. I love all the different Batmans we've been getting. I have a whole wish list of different Batmans that I hope that they make at some point, and I feel like they are going to tick almost all of these boxes eventually. One that I really want to see is Batman 3000, that one that's like metallic red and everything. That's one I'm hoping McFarlane does. But I really, really enjoy collecting this line. Again, I understand, it's not perfect. There's issues. But to say that McFarlane makes bad figures, I feel like is just factually incorrect. Because I feel like deep down, McFarlane, good old Toddy boy, he understands that this is a toy line first. He understands that there's supposed to be, Batmans on the pegs. There's supposed to be, like, fun variants. There's supposed to be goofy action. It's McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse. It feels like a toy line. And they put out a lot, so there's a lot to choose from. Of course, they cut corners. It's a modern action figure line. It doesn't even matter that it's modern. Every action figure line has cut corners. Everyone praises Marvel Legends. Literally, the original Marvel Legends Magneto was a repainted Iron Man. It's always the thing with toy companies. They reuse sculpts, they reuse molds. And I feel like McFarlane does a pretty good job at it. I just enjoy McFarlane. I enjoy what they do. I'm sure you noticed I was very enthusiastic and giddy in this video because their toys just make me happy. They have kept my interest in action figure collecting alive, where Hasbro just does nothing but raise prices and takes away stuff and still charges the same. I mean, Build-A-Figures hardly exist with Marvel Legends anymore. They hardly exist. Can't tell you the last time I've even gotten a Marvel Legends figure with a bath piece. Can't even tell you the last time. But McFarlane... As JCC continued to enjoy his DC Multiverse figures from McFarlane, little did he know that a looming threat, an old friend, was about to return. Well, I did not expect this to be the direction this video was going to take, but here we are. What you just saw was a review that I filmed of one of my favorite McFarlane Batman figures, and you saw just how happy I was, just how much I love McFarlane's DC Multiverse stuff. And I spent some time, justifying my opinion and everything, and that's stuff that I'm not going to reiterate in this portion of the video. But obviously, when I filmed that video, I didn't anticipate the news that Mattel was going to get back the rights for DC. I thought that we were in the clear. I thought that one of my favorite toy lines was just going to keep on going, and that's how it was going to be for the foreseeable future. Literally, like, a few days after I filmed that video is when the news broke out. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this video? Because I know damn well if I just posted this review of me gushing on DC Multiverse, everyone in the comments is going to be like, oh, you bet you're not happy now, huh? Like, everyone would be talking about it. Literally everyone would be talking about the news that Mattel has once again acquired the rights to DC collector figures. And yeah, I'm pretty disappointed. As you saw in that review, and I tried my best to, edit it down and everything and not waste your time because you didn't click on this video for a review. You clicked on this video for my thoughts and opinions on such a drastic change, but I want to keep that first review portion in there just to show you how much I am a fan of the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. It makes me genuinely happy, and it keeps my interest in modern, like, smaller scale action figures at the retail level alive. However, before McFarlane was on the scene, Mattel was on the scene, and I was also a Mattel DC collector. I collected a lot of the Mattel Batman figures. I have a whole shelf for like the DC UC era figures, and I really enjoy that line. I enjoyed what Mattel did. And I was a little hesitant to just start all over with McFarlane, but as McFarlane just kept putting out figures that I enjoyed significantly more on an individual level than Mattel, I started really enjoying McFarlane. And obviously, as we all know, the McFarlane line, as we are currently aware, is going to come to an end in 2026 and be replaced by Mattel's effort. And my opinion on this, it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that my favorite toy line has an expiration date now. It's very, very unfortunate. I've put so much money and effort and joy into collecting DC Multiverse from McFarlane that, you know, knowing that it's going to come to an end, it makes me cherish each new one I get, just knowing that, you know, it's going to be over. Will I collect the Mattel stuff? We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. I don't know if they're going to do like similar stuff that they've done with Masters of the Universe, where they're going to do a 7-inch line, or if they're going to go back to 6-inch and kind of bring back DCUC, because I liked DCUC, but DCUC in 2025 is very dated. Like, I enjoy DCUC as like a, you know, late 2000s, early 2010s era toy line. It is not up to modern standards and modern expectations. I don't think Mattel has ever really been able to keep up with modern toy technology. I feel like they're always a little behind in some way. There's always some little quirk, some little thing that Mattel just can't figure out that all the other toy companies figured out years ago. And I don't think Mattel is going to just kill it right off the bat. There's going to be growing pains. There's growing pains with McFarlane. I mean, look at that first Batman they did. I own it. It's not that good compared to what they've put out recently. And I am looking forward to seeing what Mattel will do, but it will be very tragic looking at my McFarlane collection, just knowing like what they could have done. Because I know Mattel is not going to, they're not going to do a million Batmans like McFarlane did. And me personally, as a Batman fan and collector, I loved the million Batmans that they did. Hell, they're literally making Batman 1 million, and I'm going to buy it. I love all the different Batmans, but I understand I am in the minority there. I definitely understand the criticism of too many Batmans. I get it. I get it. Something I can add about how much I love DC Multiverse from McFarlane is that these figures have been so great. They've actually made me want to invest time, effort, and money into knowing more about these stories, experiencing them firsthand. I went to a comic shop and I got all 3 volumes of Nightfall because I love the figures from Nightfall that McFarlane has done. Like, McFarlane was the catalyst for me to get more into the source material. These lines, these figures have been making me want to read comics. And I feel like if any toy line makes you want to actually go and look at the source material, especially comic books, I think they're doing awesome if they actually make you that invested. Because I've always been a Batman fan, but I've never really been into the comics. And experiencing these stories firsthand, thanks to this passion that's been ignited in me because of McFarlane's figures, it's something that I really have to point out. I have a hope that McFarlane will have an opportunity to continue the DC figure line in a very limited way. Because back in the day, Mattel did 6-inch stuff, and DC Direct did 7-inch stuff. DC Direct coexisted alongside Mattel's action figure lines. And I have a small hope, given the fact that McFarlane has, you know, revived DC Direct, that McFarlane can continue making 7-inch figures like Page Punchers, stuff like that, at the 7-inch scale in a more limited capacity through DC Direct. That is the sliver of hope that I have left. That's my little sliver of hope. Because look at Marvel. You know, Marvel Legends exists. Marvel Select still exists. I don't see how a 7-inch DC Direct line under the umbrella of McFarlane can't coexist alongside Mattel. That's my only hope, that I can still have some McFarlane DC figures to collect. That's my only hope. But we'll see if that comes to fruition. That's merely speculative. I just wanted to end this video by giving my thoughts and opinions. It really sucks that McFarlane is losing it, especially because I really enjoy McFarlane. Like you saw in that start, you know, I have several reasons why I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with what they do with action figures. They make me feel like a kid again in a lot of ways. I love all their silly Batman variants. I love all of the different Batmans. I feel like my Batman shelf, once I get it looking a little nicer, you know, it's McFarlane was the first toy line to give us every single cinematic live-action Batman all in one figure style. They were the very first to do it, you know? No other company's done that. And the fact that McFarlane's done that, and so many different comic and video game iterations of Batman, it's going to be sad knowing that that will be capped. That'll be done. That'll be over. We'll be back to Mattel doing what they do, making figures that I've never been quite the biggest fan of, especially when it comes to like late Mattel multiverse. I wasn't really vibing with most of those. I've got some of them, like I've got Red Hood, I've got the ones that are kind of a little bit more necessary for a Batman collection, but I'm not the biggest fan of the multiverse, you know, DC stuff from Mattel. I feel like they were a little awkward. I really enjoyed the more simplistic action of DC UC era stuff, even though very simplistic style figure, very simple, definitely needs some level of upgrading. I'm curious to see what's going to happen moving forward, but no matter what, color me very disappointed. I'm definitely, you know, this is not what I wanted as a Batman fan and collector. This is not what I wanted. But here we are. Here we are. Alrighty, guys. Let me know what you think about this. I don't really think I have anything else to say. I'll just be repeating myself at this point. You already know how much I love McFarlane. You saw that little review at the start. Yeah, let me know. Let me know. Alrighty, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Special shout out to channel members, as always. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.